May Flom here, back to talk some more about distress paints, and I wanted to make a quick little video here to show you in action how they work and also to give you a couple of tips of things that I have found with them. So it's acrylic paint, so anything that you see done with craft paint, acrylic paint, can be done with these, all right? So you can just treat them as another color medium. They do have little balls in them there, so you can shake it up before you use it to make sure it's good and mixed up. And when you go to use it, you'll want to make sure that you're pressing down, and I'm showing you sideways just so you can see, before you squeeze it to let more paint out. And when you do so, it will flow beautifully fluid color. And I just want to take a moment and say that the chipped sapphire is one of my least used, least favorite colors of distress normally. It's just a color I don't tend to use very much. However, in paint form, this beautiful chipped sapphire blue is the perfect color, and I've been using it more than any other color. So, for using it, you can, of course, simply apply it to your craft mat and then pull your surface through. You could open it up and use it just like paint, using with a paintbrush. You could leave the top on, of course, and use the foam dabber. And I like to press and give a little squeeze and then let the paint come out. And I can color, as you see here, I could color I could color so that I have a even coating. I could go lighter, I could go a little less. This paint has a really nice consistency so that if you're using just a very small amount, you can get a lighter look. You could get some of the color underneath will show through, or you can put on a heavier coat so that it's very much opaque. Now, what makes it distress paint is that it's reactive with water. What makes it special is that it is only reactive with water while it's wet. Once it's dry, it will no longer be reactive with water. So that makes it great if you're a scrapbooker. That can be great for you when you're using it on your scrapbook pages. You can know that even if it gets a little damp, it's not ever going to run. If you're mixed media and you're wanting to layer on more colors, this is an excellent product. I have been doing a lot of canvas work with these, and it has been phenomenal. I love them. And another thing that I love is, you see I misted it with water, and much like the other forms of distress, you can see all kinds of bleeding here. And if we had other colors, we could get a marbled look. They would bleed and blend together. In fact, I'm going to show you only part, because this is for a class that I'm doing, so I'm not at liberty to show the whole project, but I will show you right here is a rainbow that I made with the distress paints. And you can see how the colors, there is blending in between all those colors, making such a beautiful look where each color is still very clearly there, but it just makes such a soft look. I think it's fantastic for canvas projects. Surfaces, chipboard, paper, wood, canvas. I've had a lot of luck with this product on a variety of surfaces, which is great. Now, one thing I will tell you is I was finding that if I was going to be doing some blending of colors and you getting a lot of water involved, just like any liquid medium that you might expect, I found that it worked better if I had a thick, this is specialty stamping paper, or a thick, super thick cardstock, or canvas, or some medium that's not going to just fall apart with a little bit, well, a lot of liquid action going on here. Okay, so here I'm just squirting between those two. Now this gets really interesting to me because I can do a couple of things here. If I let it just sit there and dry, it's going to look very much like that. You're going to see a lot of lightened areas, and however it bleeds, it'll just stay like that. And while it's wet, I could move it around like this to create marbling effects. And it would just stay like that. I could also dab it away, blot it with some paper towel. Now if I do that, what you're going to notice is when the water goes away, a lot of the blending went away too. Okay, the water, it's almost like it creates a surface on top of the paint that it's sliding around on, but the original colors of the paint underneath are going to stay there. You can see you've got a pretty clear line there. There's really not blending of colors. However, if I come in here with some water again and squirt, it will start to blend and bleed and do different things. So here, I'll show you that again. And I've been finding really, I like to play and experiment with this. And if you get yourself a couple of these distress paints and you're interested in doing like marbling effects and this kind of stuff, play with it. Play with it, test it out, see what happens. And I'm just blotting this dry just because I'm going to set it to the side and I don't want to accidentally get something on top of it. The Chipped Sapphire, I'm really liking it with the Seedless Preserves together. Here I will show you a scrapbook, a piece of a scrapbook page. I can't show you the whole thing just yet, but this is Seedless Preserves and this here too. Chipped Sapphire together onto this page, or excuse me, onto these chipboard words and also these letter stickers blended together. I'm really liking that they work so incredibly well on anything. If I had some letter stickers that I wanted to recolor, it would work great. I could just tap on some paint and let it dry, or if I wanted less paint, I could just use a paper towel or something, kind of rub it on there. If I didn't want, and I'll come right up here so you can really see, it'll be tinting that blue, but some of the original color will still show through if I'm only using a very small amount. Another option, of course, you can always apply the paints to, and this is another combo I like, Bundled Sage with Chipped Sapphire, to a nonstick craft mat, mist with water. You don't have to mist with water, but I find I liked the look of this. And then you could come through here with some kind of paper, and you could either, I'll do it two ways, I could press down and you'll get a cool marbled look, or you could also drag it through. And you can see how it's a little different look, but I'm loving that kind of sage green there with the Chipped Sapphire. Just love that combination. So for scrapbooking or card making, in any way that you would be using paints, you could use them with stamps, you could use them to blend, really from nice and neat and clean to super messy to layering on to mixed media canvases. You can do so much with these paints. And I think it's important to remember too, not just with the, of course, having the applicator there, the foam applicator is great, but you can also use a paintbrush or foam brush or any kind of brush you want and really get in here with the paints. And if you're worried about contaminating your colors, I have not had a problem. If for some reason I'm working with one color, and let's say I come in here with another color, and there's just a teeny bit of blue here on the applicator, if I just press down and push out a little bit, if there was any right there on the edge, it'll come right off. Or I could have used a paper towel and brushed it off a bit. If you're concerned about that though, I have not had problems, but if you were concerned, I would just say to, instead of applying directly to the wet paint, just apply it to your craft mat and pick up the color with your brush and then come in. And one thing that I've been really loving is, and I'm doing it right here, and I need a little more paint, is taking a foam brush with a color, a second color, and just tapping it in to the existing color to create some more subtle, not so much marbled, but just kind of a multicolored background for my projects and tags. And of course, I can spritz that down with water. I can tap it some more, let that really blend in. I have so much fun with this product, and I think what's really fun for me is I can get really wild and artsy and make a huge mess, or I can use it in a very restrained way on a card or a tag or a scrapbook layout. And it can be so much more than just regular acrylic paint. There's so many more options available. And you see I'm wiping this away. I actually have painted on here with multi-medium in gloss finish a heart. Okay, and I want to make sure the heart is there and visible. But the other thing I want to make sure here and that I'm showing you is you can see while it's wet, a lot of paints aren't this nice. They aren't this forgiving where if you want to wipe it away, you can wipe it away while it's wet. A lot of paints will still stick, but this paint, you can really get so much play with it before it's set. And that really is such a fantastic thing to me. As somebody who likes to do such a variety of crafty projects, I just love that I can do so much with it. Okay, and isn't that fun? Look at that. Isn't that cool? And as soon as this is dry, as soon as this paint is dry, it will no longer be blendable or work. It will no longer mix and bleed and blend. I would be free to create another layer on top of this canvas piece. Now that I've warmed up here and played with these paints and hopefully answered some of your questions, I am going to get to actually finishing a project. I'm going to set this one aside and let it dry and think about what my next move will be. If you have any questions about these paints, feel free to ask me over on my blog, or of course you could also email me. I wish you some very happy and messy painty crafting.